Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cowboys Takeover. I'm your host, Jason Kent. And this week we played the Arizona Cardinals. Team that's not great. They're okay. They're 1-1 this season, I think. No, they're 0-2. They did lose last week. We're going to kind of discuss them this week like we do every week. Like we like to dive into, both teams, get a little bit of background. So let me bring in my illustrious co-host, Mr. Aaron James. Aaron, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, Jason. I'm doing all right. Kind of have a heavy heart today, and we'll get into that news as to why.
Definitely.
Yeah, kind of a gloomy day for us Cowboys fans.
Yeah, it really seems like it's a theme right now in the NFL. There's a lot of big names, of big names. But like you said, we'll get in that a little bit later. We like to talk about the other team a little bit that we play, dive in a little bit. How did they do? Last week we didn't really watch much because the Cowboys won at the same time. But what did you feel about that Arizona defense? How did they look? What they play? Something that you think Dak can exploit with them?
Yeah, so I'm going to kick us off here, like you said, starting about my analysis and overview of the Cardinals defense, which really dominated a lot of the first half specifically. Kind of didn't do a whole lot. The second half, maybe there was a different mentality, but a lot of 3 and outs in the first half, keeping the Giants scoreless. Here you see some zone play on their defense, and when I was going through the film, it was like 50-50 from my observation, from a zone to a man-to-man type coverage. They did run some run blitzes to try to stop Saquon, but the veteran running backs are going to be able to kind of manipulate that and find the right gap to hit, and Saquon did that quite a bit. One pretty interesting, well, I guess not that interesting, but one fact about their DBs, they have their number 2 DB as a rookie, Catrell Clark. So that's their number 2 DB. Their number 1 DB is a second-year veteran. So very young on the edges. I think that's going to create a lot of mismatches with CD, whether Cooks plays or not, and Gallup, the veterans, being out there, being nifty. Their linebacker, Dennis Gardeck, he really kind of jumped off the page at me. You see him here. He's the number 45, pursuing from the bottom. He's really fast. Look at that. He got a sack right on cue.
That's beautiful.
Let's go.
That's a nice play off that edge.
Yeah. He plays really fast. Reminds me a lot of Clay Matthews with his style. Kind of runs low to the ground, plays a little scrappy, and also kind of looks like him too, with the hair coming out. And then their number 1 tackler, Kevin Wallace, which is a safety. So when a safety is your number 1 tackler in a game, that's not a good sign.
It's tough.
You want either your edge guys or typically your linebackers, I would say, should fall in your top line category. But be that as it may, and their superstar defensive player Budda Baker, I believe, is scheduled to be out for the game, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a big blow for them because they don't have much defensive power. Chandler Jones isn't there anymore. I know, JJ Watt retired. And like you said, I really think it was that the tale of 2 halves for that defense. Because why didn't they go up halftime? They were up 20-0.
Yes.
And it really felt like, because it was a funny stat. I remember watching the Cowboys game. They were talking about it like Giants have been outscored in the last 6 quarters. It was like 60-0. It was terrible. Like that defense was putrid. So you felt like they were just getting shut out, and that Arizona defense came to play. And in that second half was really, I was shocked. I was shocked that offense, Giants offense was able to put up anything on them. You just felt like they couldn't do anything. But yeah, they're missing a lot. They don't have the firepower that they used to have. Even the first round draft pick they had a few years ago, Isaiah Simmons, they actually traded to I think it was the Giants this year. So, so that's got to be tough, man. They don't have anybody.
No.
None of their big pieces. It's not the defense it was a few years ago. But that's where I do think, like you said, I think we go to the Cowboys offense. Last week, it it was an impressive performance by Dak. I think Dak played very well. I was most impressed by CeeDee Lamb. So when you watched that game last week, CeeDee was all over the field, and Dak was hitting him. I think CeeDee for the first time this year, I think he has 160 yards, was it? 143 on 11 catches, no touchdowns, and he made some big plays. He had the 31 yarder. They fed him the ball. So I'm not sure if they didn't miss Cooks as much as I thought they would. Right? I thought, Brandon Cook out there, he'd really be a big factor. But no, they didn't even really take a ton of shots to Gallup like we thought. They really force fed CeeDee that ball in the offense. And then they did try to run a lot. So it was one of those things where you didn't know what it was. I don't know if maybe they focused on the run the Jets did against us. But Pollard only had 2.5 yards or 3.5 yards a carry, 2.9, 25 carries for 72 yards. So you were a little underwhelmed, but you have to be ecstatic, right? You're coming in this week against an Arizona team where your offense really, when they needed to score, they did. They came out and Dak had just a great performance, I think, against a top defense. And that's something you really need to see with Dak. And I think something me and you have both said, I know you have the belief in Dak, but I was a little worried. But seeing Dak against that, I think we all expected to be a great defense. Were you surprised that he was able to shred that defense so well?
The only reason why I wasn't surprised is because what we talked about the week before in our observation, Stephon Diggs coming away with 10 catches. Yeah. So I figure they're going to look at that tape and see how they were able to do that and look to emulate that and plug things in from their playbook. So from that perspective, I wasn't all that surprised. What I was nervous about was just Dak, being somewhat careless, depending on, how close the game was going to be. If in fact we were going to have to put it in his hands to make some clutch throws. But at the end of the day, I think Mike McCarthy did his job and put him in situations to win. I think we got Ferguson and Schoonmaker with touchdowns. And It's like we're running tight end by committee. If you're going to focus on our wide receivers, our game plan it looks like we could just run with our tight ends.
And Dak really reminds me of like 3 years ago now. Like when Cooper first got here, Dak could always improvise. But now, he has a great receiver. He has, somewhat of a run game. It's been tough to see the first 2 weeks. But I was excited to see him move around in that pocket. While I still don't, I'm starting to feel like, I don't want to see him taking these hits. Like I get you're healthy and I'm glad that you're a competitor. You've already blown your leg out once. Let's calm down. I know you're tough. I know you're proven enough. Don't run. Or if you run, get down. You don't have to be running over linebackers. That's the one thing that worries me. But other than that, he just impressed me. And it might be they keep talking about that West Coast offense, and you're seeing a lot of quick, get the ball out of his hands, hit those guys, and let your playmakers make plays. So Dallas's offense, just these first 2 weeks, the first week was a little slow, but Dak looked good. You can blame a few drops. And last week, Dak, 31 to 38 for 255. The yardage, this offense right now, you don't need the big play. It'll be there eventually. But Dak is, to me, showing that maturity, able, just getting it to the playmakers, getting it to his open receivers and letting them make plays. So I really think they'll have another field day. I think they feast on that Arizona defense.
Yeah, they do. And what I saw a lot from Daniel Jones in the second half was a lot of play action. And when the Cardinals were running a zone defense, he was really just picking them apart. And I think that's one of the strengths of Dak's game, off the play action, sit back, look at his 1 read and 2 read, and make a quick decision from there.
He had 59 yards rushing against that defense. So, Dak, I don't know if he's as mobile as him, but that's a great point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, Halo, if we're up 20 points by halftime, which could very well be the case, I think that it's just smart play calling, and it's kind of like, hey guys, let's get out of here. A lot of running. I don't think McCarthy is looking to make any type of headlines from throwing for 400 yards or anything like that. It's just like, hey, let's get in, let's get out, let's do our business. So I think it's gonna be a lot of what we've been discussing. But with that being said, I do want to see a better red zone conversion rate. I think we were 50% against the Jets.
Yeah.
And you'd like to see them be more efficient. Like, let's just not mess around in the red zone. Let's convert those touchdowns.
When they did, they had 44 rushing attempts. Pollard had 25, Dowdle had 7, Deuce Vaughn got in for a few. I like that they are using Turpin in that kind of little bit of everything role. It doesn't seem, I know I was a little worried we'd mentioned him in the preseason kind of because he did not look great all preseason. He had some issues. It really seems like they have confidence in him, kind of letting him do some, end arounds, giving him the ball out of the backfield, which I think is great because now you have so many, they just have that speed out there. And that's something you can't teach. And in the NFL, if you get in that open field, a lot of these guys they've shown, you get them and they're gone. So I really like what they're doing with their run game this year. And now, we switch over to the Arizona side, right? Arizona last week came out against that Giants defense who just didn't look really good against Dallas. And they came out in that first half, right? And they dominated. They should have scored on every possession in that first half.
Yeah.
They missed a field goal in the first possession and then proceeded to just go down the field every other possession that half and touchdown or field goal. So, they have some weapons. Joshua Dobbs isn't a guy. This is his first year really getting any starts. He's been around for a while. He's never been able to. He's not a starter. He's not a guy. He's a very good backup. Learn know stuff, but he's not going to be the guy that come in. So when he came, you expect it's one of those things. You want the run game, get the checkoffs, get the ball out of your hands. He's not a guy that's going to win that game. And in that first half, that's what he did. They were able to run the ball. Connor did very well running the ball. He's a very good running back, been around for some years, understands. So they were able to do that and get the ball out of Dobbs' hands and just drive. And even that first play in the second half, the first drive in the second half, they came out and it seemed like it did. Mm-hmm. But then let's just go down in the rest of the second half. It was 8 plays, punt, 3 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays. So that second half, after that first drive, they weren't able to do anything. And that's really just because they're not a good team. It's just not a good overall team. And it's a team that I expect Dallas to really feast on. The Giants in that second half, outside that first possession, shut them down. And they were getting blown out. They could have just really felt, they could have just ended the game. You could bow out, listen, we're down 20-0. We don't care. That Giants defense came to play and really showed you can, that Arizona offense they don't have game changers. Kyler Murray's not there. He's not coming back. So there's really nobody on that offense that you really think we need to focus on that. It's really just kind of let them do what they've been doing, Dallas's defense wise, to shut them down because they don't have good players. They're fighting. Their wish is to lose every game so they can get Caleb Williams. Like that's where this team is at. So, I don't expect anything really against this, number 1 Dallas defense from this Arizona Cardinal offense.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Dobbs, I was listening to his one of his conference discussions I think it was yesterday that it was recorded. It wasn't post game, but he came out and he said, hey, well, look, we're a run first team in preparing for Dallas, so they're going to try to see what they can do with James Conner. Now, James Conner was very physical in this game. If you look at the tape, he really looks like Adrian Peterson in this game specifically.
Okay.
Just trust me. In this game, if you look at it, he is running hard and looking for a collision. So he's going to bring that kind of attitude. But to me, with an offensive line as good as the Jets had, and we talked about them, if you take away Zach Wilson's yards, They were
They didn't
under
do anything.
35, under 40 yards total.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's tough. And here's going to be the issue is I'm not going to be worried this week about the run game because we really thought that, or, at least I did. I thought the Giants and the Jets would come out and pound the ball. Dallas's defense has really shown me, it may not be it could be, other factors, but nobody's going to run against them. And I just don't see, I do think they'll come out and try to run early. I do. I think it'll be like the last two games, but Dallas knows that. Dallas knows their weakness, and it really seems like they've shut it down. So even I do get that they're going to want to try to run the ball early. It's not successful right now.
No. And, Dobbs, he did run some QB options. His speed, at least on Madden, it's 84 out of 100. So it's up there. He has some wheels on him. And actually, as I was thinking about that, I think quarterbacks like Aaron, we might be in that era where pure pocket passers, and you think of like Aaron Rodgers, this might be the last of it because all of the QBs coming in for the last 5 years have all had wheels on them.
Yeah. I still think when I look at, I still think Patty Mahomes, while I think they're more pocket. Aaron Rodgers is pocket. To me, Mahomes is more like a Rodgers guy. He's not really. So when I look at even the best quarterbacks in the game, I think all of them are pocket passers. All the ones you really want.
Well,
Allen,
I guess what I'm trying to say is that
they're athletic.
They're athletic, yeah, and they can run at a pretty good speed. Not like Peyton Manning running in slow motion. Those days are gone.
So the Peyton Manning fake handoff and cut to that end zones. Do you have grills on?
I do not. It's fading through the back.
I'm sorry. Okay. I shouldn't have asked. That was a terrible question. I was like, the dude said he's going to throw on swag. I thought we had some more swag. I was like, let's go. I just thought it was part of the swag. But yeah, so I don't think that Arizona, they don't have it. If Kyler Murray was there, I might be a little worried. But they have Marquise Brown who's got speed, but Dobbs has been around since 2017, and this will be his 11th career start. So let's go. How do you think Dallas's defense looked last week?
So last week, they looked dominant. Aside from the mishap where Wilson got a 10-yard in route and was able to take that to the house. Now Hooker should have had that taken care of and cleaned up.
100%. They missed that tackle big time.
At the same time, Diggs was beat on a deep route.
That made me so mad.
But so that's what can happen. So let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room with the news coming out today. Diggs tearing his ACL, out for the season. It looks like Deron Bland is going to take his spot, most likely. So just, A, it sucks. B, I was trying to think what is there if you're trying to be as positive as possible.
To me, so my spin on it when I thought about it, when you look at this Dallas team, out of every superstar that you think of, when I look at this team, I'm thinking superstars. I'm thinking Micah. I'm thinking Dak. I'm thinking Martin. Gilmore is a superstar. Diggs is a superstar. Out of any one of our guys to get hurt and hurt the least, I think the team, and it sucks to say because the kid's an all-pro. What he had 11 or 12 touchdowns a few years back. He's the one that of all of them, if I said had to get hurt, I think would hurt us the least is him. Because we did bring in Gilmore, and Deron Bland is really showing, he's stepping up. He was somebody you were high on. Dallas was really high on. And to me, you have that defensive line still. I think it would be a bigger impact if Dak or Micah went down, because Micah on that defense is able to change the game. He's able to. He makes the quarterbacks have to rush that. So, I think that's something we did talk about with Micah and DeMarcus Lawrence, and then getting Gilmore in the offseason. This defense is really built around its pass rushers, not allowing the time. And as much as it does stink, you like you stated, he did give up that big double, or the big play. Well, didn't give it up. He was beat very, very badly, and Hooker
And that
made
happens.
and that happens a lot.
It does.
So while to me, it really, and I hate to say, but he is the safest of the injuries that you can overcome if you're Dallas out of all the big names. Am I right?
Well, that was going to be my point that you stole, but we got to put it in the context of, we could be talking NFC Championship game where he tries to be aggressive to end the game and gets beat, and that costs us. It's like you live and die by his aggressiveness.
Yeah.
So
teams, and everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Yeah, it's no secret. The only thing he has going for him is that the D line is hopefully going to get to the quarterback within 3 seconds. So that, it could be, we don't know. It could be a blessing in disguise. Of course, you'd rather have him, and you would think that DQ in those situations would be like, play it safe, make them beat you.
Diggs, Diggs' first thought is not to play it safe.
Give him the 10 yards, give him the 15 yards, whatever the case may be. That, I think that also comes down to coaching. You got to understand where you are in the game. But yeah, I think it's something we can overcome. I think of, when I think of our biggest headaches for the NFC to get to the Super Bowl of the Eagles, I still have Gilmore on Brown, and I kind of always had it that way.
Yeah.
So Bland just has to stick with Smith, and then when it comes to the Niners, I think Ayuk is more of the athletic headache. So I'd probably want someone like a Gilmore on Ayuk more so than Debo.
See, against a team like San Fran, I don't think it's as big, because I don't look at their receiver.
Yeah, that's
Ayuk's a baller. I don't want to knock him, but I don't look at their receivers like they're not, to me, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, they're a problem. So I agree. That's where it hurts the most, is because you really want to be able to get after the Eagles with that, because they have a good run game, and they have a great offensive line. You want knowing Diggs is out there to jump some routes makes quarterbacks have to throw it or hold it a little bit longer, because they know if they're going for that. And I think that's where it helps. I think that even that defensive line, because to beat Diggs, you have to have that time, but it does happen. But yeah, Micah is still there. As long as Micah's on that team, on that defense, I don't want to say you can lose anybody else, but I'm okay with if Micah's getting sacks. Him and Ogidiz, what's his name? I can't say it. I never can pronounce it. But he just got an 89 card in Madden today. That's how good he was last week. Madden put out a big card for him. So yeah, out of all the injuries, he's the one that hurts the least out of your big stars. I agree with you.
Yeah. So the other items that DQ is probably going to have on his checklist. So number one, Zach Ertz is the safety net really for Dobbs. Yeah. He had 6 catches. I think he was the highest targeted player for that game. But in the press conference, Dobbs said, "Hey, Ertz and I are texting each other all the time, screenshots, and talking about what we're saying and how we're going to take advantage of certain situations." So you got to be, keep your eye on that. I think we're going to be dominant in our run defense. And Marquise Brown, their number one wideout, at 97 speed. The dude is a burner. So you just want to be, cautious of that. So it's going to be, interesting to see how they choose to play that to make sure they don't get beat deep.
He was one of those guys when they traded for him, I'd forgotten Kyler was hurt. And I'm like, that's a great play, because I believe him and Kyler did play college ball together. Okay. So I thought it was a good move for maybe you bring somebody in that Kyler knows. I know they paid him large, so they want to keep him happy. Maybe not now because they're going after the quarterback from USC. But I thought maybe if Kyler was there, I could see maybe a little bit of an issue, especially with the way Daniel Jones has looked. Zach Wilson looked. So you could maybe they'll try to do a little more of that run option against Dallas because Dallas seems to have trouble, but I can't see this. I really can't see either side struggling for Dallas this week. It's going to be tough for this is a game I feel like it's really locked down.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to, RG3 has Dallas at the number 1 ranked team. A lot of power polls have them anywhere between 1 and 3. These are the games, your championship team. These are games that Dallas has lost in the past when they, we felt they had a good team, so that you can't get complacent in this type of game. I think it's huge. You have to make a statement, because even though the Eagles are undefeated, a lot of people are, you hear they're winning, but even the Eagles fans are like, we kind of, they're better than these teams. They should be beating them. You always hear that you want to make statement wins. And against a team like Arizona, who's 0-2 and just, they lost a 20-point lead against the Giants. It doesn't look good if you're Dallas, if you blow this game.
Yeah, no, 100%, especially after the I was gonna say, I thought I heard you say if the Cowboys blow it, it's not gonna look good. But I was gonna say it would have looked, especially seeing the Giants being able to overcome what they did. We should be able to do the same if it just turns out to be starts off as ugly as it possibly could. I don't really see that happening. I think a comfortable win here. I personally would like to have Cooper Rush in by third quarter if that's possible. If we're up 3 possessions, I want to
take him out that early.
As healthy. Early. I want to be as healthy as possible for that Niner game.
I agree. And that's what I'm kind of worried about these next 2 weeks, is because Dallas, you're not playing anybody that you really think can beat you. You have the Cardinals and the Patriots the next 2 weeks. Both of them are probably going to be primetime games. So you really hope, and I'm sure Dak and I'm sure McCarthy's been around long enough, don't look too far ahead. So I think the next 2 weeks, we can't look past this team and just say they're nothing. That's where I'm a little worried, because I don't want to take Dak out. Even if you take him out early, and it is the NFL. You get cold, you can't figure it out, and it snowballs, and you lose that game. So I keep, I don't take people out, mid fourth quarter. You're up a little bit. I'm okay taking them out, but I'm just because, they are NFL football players. So it does worry me a little bit. But I don't want them looking past. I want this team, I get healthy, but I want them running on all cylinders. I want them coming into that Sunday night game ready to just roll. I don't know if it's Sunday or Monday. I know it's a primetime game. But yeah, you can't look past this team at all. So going into it, how do you think? I was going to ask, Cowboys win. What did the Cowboys need to do to win this game? They win if. That's so terrible to even say.
Cowboys will win. I feel like I just can pick really anything.
It really does feel like,
as long as the game doesn't get canceled by the refs, Cowboys will win. I think it's going to be an easy win. I'm curious as to what Mike McCarthy is really thinking. Like, does he want to allow Dak to get in the groove, because he hasn't really had to do that a whole lot in the first 2 games? So does he want a confidence booster for Dak to let him throw it downfield? I don't even know if he's thrown the ball, 40 yards yet in an airmail in the first 2 games. So we're probably going to see, some of that. If I were Mike
nothing
McCarthy,
completed
I would want
anyway.
Nothing,
nothing. Because I know there were a few shots to Gallup. I think we're deep in that, but a lot of it's been kind of uncatchable, not really letting his guys go up and make it. So I just want to see. I'd like to see Dak air it out this week. Honestly, I don't, like you said, I don't know. If Dak goes down and Micah gets hurt and Martin leaves and CD doesn't do anything, I think it has to be bad for Dallas to lose this game. You need to, Dak really has to get hurt. And even that, Cooper Rush could come in and probably still beat this team. It's got to be very significant. You have to, really struggle. There's got to be quite a few injuries, I think, honestly, for Arizona to win this game. But me saying that probably means Arizona is going to blow them out by 45. So if you're a gambling man, gamble on Arizona.
Yeah, well, the spread is I think 12 points.
Yes, it is quite high.
Yeah.
So that's where I was I was quite shocked. Like, I know Arizona's a bad team, but it's in Arizona. If I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
mistaken, right? Yeah. So we're a 12-point favorite. Typically the home team gets 3 regardless. So if you're playing in Dallas,
Oof.
that's like a 16, 17, 18-point favorite, So it's Vegas is telling you Arizona is quite a very bad team. It's not even a line that's like they think Arizona may win. It's Dallas is going to win big, pretty much.
Mhm.
That's what that line says, big time. But looking, you got to be positive if you're Arizona, right? You don't want to say we have no shot. So Arizona wins if.
Yeah, so Arizona will win if they get 3 defensive touchdowns. I will say they'll come away with a win.
You give it 3. Now, can it be? Do they all have to be defensive, or can you have some special teams touchdowns in there?
I'll give 1 special teams touchdowns.
Okay.
I'll allow that. So that's 21 points.
3 non-offensive touchdowns we're going
Yes, that's how much they have to spot their offense to have a chance.
with. I kind of agree with it. I can't really argue that because Dallas, they just beat the Jets by 20. They beat the Giants by 40. Their average margin of victory is 30. So spotting them 21 is quite. I might talk to my buddy and get $5 for that. Zach, if you're watching or listening, I get Dallas, you get 21 points, bro. $5. Let's do it. No, I think they need quite a few. I think it has to be about, you need to get 3 or 4 turnovers, and you need James Conner, kind of same thing last week. You need your running back to get you about 150. It has to be something where they're really and it has to be like a, 5-yard a carry type of game.
Yeah.
Because so it's one of those, you're getting 20 to 25 carries, 30 carries, just crushing, running the ball, and your defense is coming away with turnovers. So you're controlling that game, running that clock out. That's really, and probably, I think you're right. I think one of those turnovers needs to be, a touchdown for them. They have to be able to ball control and really shut down. And even then it's going to be tough because Dallas knows Dan Quinn's been around long enough. He knows how to kind of fix his defense, and he seems to have the right pieces for what he wants to do. They may not fit everywhere, especially those linebackers, your defensive tackles, but they work with what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now Gannon came from Philadelphia, right? He was on that.
He was their defensive coordinator.
So I think if you're the Cardinals, that is a plus. He saw them twice. He saw the boys twice last year. He was, part
only
of
once with Dak.
Dak, right? Yes, that's true. That's true. But I guess however you want to look at it, he saw that he got 2 looks. So it appeared that for at least for the first half against the Giants, that familiarity paid off. He was familiar with Daniel Jones and Saquon, and whether they got comfortable or whatever you want to call it, he lost that game. But that, I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's a positive. It's a positive.
It has to be. But that Eagles defense had so much more talent than this Arizona defense. 3rd all time in sacks. So while I agree with you, it's definitely gonna be a positive, him knowing that team. I just don't think they have the talent. It's not like Dallas signing Trey Lance and then we cut him week 6. That's the plan. It's not like that. We got their insider. They just don't have Arizona doesn't have the talent, and they really have a team that could go be the first ever 0-17 team. The second winless team of my generation. It could happen. They're that bad.
Wow. Yeah, they are pretty bad. I mean, now they almost won a game. So And I think they were in that first game too. I'm forgetting what the score was. Might have been against the Bucks.
No, they lost to the Okay, so they did
Commanders.
lose to the Commanders 20-16.
Okay.
But when you look at the schedule, so they I know this is an Arizona podcast, but they got Cowboys, Niners, Bengals, Rams, Seahawks, Ravens, Browns. So Falcons and Texans may be a winnable game. Rams, Steelers, 49ers, Bears, Bears, Eagles. So they have 3 games they may win. They're a bad team. And I think all those teams are probably better than them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if Dallas loses this game, I don't want to say the world's ending, but it's definitely concerning because that means McCarthy doesn't have him prepared. And to me, that tells me much more about my head coach and my quarterback if they lose this game than anything else.
Yeah, and it also tells you that everyone went into a depression for what happened to Diggs.
No, you come out and ball for that guy. No, I disagree.
Yeah.
You come out and ball for my man.
Exactly. That's what
Gilmore,
I'm saying. Like
we need
that when those type of events happen to someone as much swag and just got paid, you're like, you know what, bro, we're gonna get your back. Don't you worry. And you up your game even more, which is kind of mind blowing to think they can even go up more levels from where they started. But I think we're gonna get a glimpse of that.
I think Bland fills in perfectly. Not perfectly, but I don't think he may give up. He may not give up as many big plays. He's not going to have the interceptions, I don't think, that Diggs has. But he is a ball hawk. But I don't think he gives up the big plays. He's not that type of guy, which I think is huge. So rounding out the show here, Mr. Aaron James, your final score and who's the big player for the game?
All right. So final score. I have Cowboys 44 to Arizona 10.
It's not out of reach. I would say I'm going to say that's not bad. Don't LOL, Christopher. So who has the big game then? 44 points. What are we looking at? Is it Pollard or is it Dak and CD?
I think it's a guy that was a little quiet the first 2 games. I'm going to say Michael Gallup has 2 touchdowns and 115 yards.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say 41. I think we get 5 tutters, 2 field goals. I'd love for Aubrey to hit a couple of 60-yarders because he is on my fantasy football team. I did draft him on my team. Shout out to me for drafting a Dallas kicker. Had no idea. I literally Googled in the last pick of my draft who's starting for Dallas and what's his bye week. Matched up. Tucker didn't do it. It is not going to be a 9-6 game, sir. It's going to be like 41-10, and I think it could even be 41-3. I don't think Arizona gets a touchdown. I'm going 41-3. No, we'll say 41-6. I'll say 2 field goals. They get some lucky play. 41-6. I think Dak throws for 375. I think Gallup and CD both have over 100 yards. And I still think Pollard sniffs 90 yards.
Okay.
Maybe more. But I think it's a big blowout, and I think they bring in Daddle and Deuce late, and they get quite a few carries. And I think Mike gets 2 sacks. Mike is going to eat. He's going to get 5 sacks. He's going to be on pace. He's going to break the sack record this season, just like Madden said.
So I think we need to challenge ourselves a little bit more because so far we're 2-0. I think we're going to be 3-0. To start the season. But maybe starting next week, we try to make it a little bit more fun and see who has a better spread. Let's try to see who gets closest to kind of just up the level of difficulty.
Okay, so we keep track of these scores. Okay, I said 41, so I got to make it official. Let me write this down. I said 41-6.
Okay. Yep.
And what is your score?
44-10.
44-10. Okay. So we'll keep track of this. This is good. I think my score is going to be better. My score is going to win.
Well, it's yours
Chris's
is kind of
score
like
is
the
not
price.
going to
Yours
win.
is like the Price is Right. Like you just win a couple dollars less than me.
I did the $1 under.
Yeah. So we are going against an algorithm here called known as Madden 25. Madden has Cowboys 48 and Cardinals 9.
So they got closer. Man, that's tough. So you have them winning by 34. I have them winning by 35. So I'm closer. I'll say that.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, and I would ask everyone listening to stay tuned and follow us on Facebook. We'll announce if we're going to be going live for a pregame this weekend. I think we had a lot of fun doing it for the first drive.
We did. Got quite a few viewers doing it too, so it's pretty consistent. Yeah, so it was good. We'll definitely do that a few, if not this week, I think that'll definitely be something we do a few more times this season. That's a great idea by you, Mr. Aaron James. You bring the swag to this show much more than I do. I'm very basic.
Yeah. Well, I know I mentioned also I was going to add to the swag, but I was just feeling way too blue from what transpired today. I'm like, I can't do it.
So we just put on the spinner necklace. I'm digging it, bro. Hey, you could have said it, but that is it for this week. You guys will see us, if not the pregame, we'll, like Mr. Aaron James said, we'll let you know. But if not the pregame, definitely the postgame, and bring you all the exciting stuff. How this defense looks without Diggs. Does anything change? Do they have a little bit of a letdown? Because like Mr. Aaron James said, they could have the blues. It is a possibility. You lose the big star, people are feeling down. So you really hope they don't do that. And then go out, give us a like on all of our social medias. The Cowboys Takeover podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Drop us a tag, drop us a follow. And also, you guys can catch the show if you don't know about it on our YouTube page, Cowboys Takeover YouTube. So give us leave some comments there. We really appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. We will see you this Sunday live after the game, maybe before. For myself, for Mr. Aaron James, let's go Cowboys.
Let's go.